Hello, everyone. Welcome to the NinjaTalks podcast, show where experts share their journeys and stories for the rest of us. Have you ever struggled with quitting the present to follow your dreams? Well, that's exactly what we are going to talk about on this show, where you'll learn what it takes to achieve a dream out there in the real world.
So today we have with us Shrimoyee Chakraborty, a global entrepreneur, producer, and chef who turned her outstanding dream into reality at Calcutta Street. With a touch of street food, delicious fusions between East and the West with a lot of love. Featured in BBC, The Times, CNN Travel, and more. Welcome, Shrimoyee, to the Ninja Talks.
Thank you, Ria and Snake.
So, Shrimoyee, very few people know that the early days of your exploration was completely different from the food and travel industry. Tell us about the same.
Sure, I actually was born in Calcutta and I grew up there. In fact, I was born. I grew up in for the first part of my life in actually the outskirts of Calcutta also, which is this like the suburbs outside. So I decided I didn't want to stay in Calcutta for my undergrad, so I moved to Mumbai and then I was studying and I did economics and then after that I wanted to I felt like when back in Mumbai I wanted to just work in the media because I interned with Disney. I was interning with Unilever, so I interned with some big companies. So I really thought, okay, if I get a job like in a big company like this and work in the media or marketing space, I think that'll be great. So that was the dream for then at that point. But then but after Mumbai, I really definitely wanted to get out of India because I was like, I want to see the world. I wanted to go to an Ivy League for my MBA, so either Harvard or Stanford or something. And so that's why I kind of choked out my path. So I was like, okay, I'm going to come to the UK. I'm going to do a master's. I'm going to work for a couple of years, and then I'm going to move to the States. And life had other plans, of course. So I moved to the UK for my master's in economics and finance, and it was global business analysis. So it was very corporate. And then after that, I straight away got a job in WPP, which is a big organization. Which back then in Mumbai, I thought if I had a job like that, that would be really great. But then once I got the job, it wasn't enough, and I was like, yeah, this is fun, and then I was working for Yelp, which is a big American startup. So I launched Yelp in Manchester, which was a pretty big job to have at 23, I think. And it was really good. And I worked on it for a year. And then that's kind of at that same time I started a food blog. I mean, I had no idea I had interest in food. I mean, I knew I liked eating and my mother's a fantastic cook. But besides that, there was no ambitions in food at all. So the blog was really just because I'm an opinionated person and I thought the Indian food that you get in England is quite shit, in all fairness. And I was like, right, I need to, I want to write something or, post my recipes as a fun thing. So I was just doing that. And then that started getting noticed by like BBC and a few other TV channels. And so I did a show back in the days with Nigella Lawson and Anthony Bourdain. It was like a show and I auditioned for it and I did it. And they were like my heroes growing up, like Nigella Lawson or Anthony Bourdain or people like that. And that kind of escalated. And then I got a job with Sunday Times, which is a massive newspaper. And I moved here and I told them I'll take the job in one condition to the editor that he'll let me write some food articles every now and again or food related. And he'll let me do that. And and then I was still working in the corporate world. I then got a bigger job at an economic think tank where I was working with Amartya Sen and likes of that kind of people. So, and during that, I decided to start my first pop-up with my own money. I was very young. I was 24, going on 25, I think, yeah. And then my first start pop-up happened in London called Calcutta Street. This was long, long time back. And then Times of India did, I think, a front page spread on their Sunday Times or something. And that snowballed into BBC. BBC Radio asked me to do a BBC Worldwide, called me for their radio show. And then, different media started contacting. And then one pop-up led to the other. And then I landed up raising some private equity funding because I didn't have money of my own. I was 25 because I wanted to open restaurants, and opening a restaurant in London is very, very expensive. As an Indian person, it is even just beyond imagination. So back in the days, I had to raise about close to £1 million, which is 10 crores. and I was 25, and besides big companies, big private equity investors, or angel investors, you can't raise that kind of money. So anyway, so I raised that, and restaurant opened, restaurant number one, restaurant number two, and then a few others. So that's the journey.
That's wonderful. So, what all diverse things have you been involved into apart from these? Like, you just did it for exploration or did it for fun?
Food was a side exploration for me, so which turned into a serious career. And I was kind of making videos and blogs and stuff like that. And now I just finished producing my first TV series, which
Wow.
is with an American network. So um, uh, I tend to not. I tend to make things I do for fun work, so that way I don't have to work. So I think that's kind of my agenda in life.
So more than 100 people rushed with your first pop-up featuring Bengali cuisine with a street food theme. So how was that particular moment and how important it was for you?
The first one was actually I did some street food stuff, yeah. But eventually it was more about home dining. The restaurants were about home dining. For me, it was like people are paying money to eat my food. That was a shocking experience. I was like, wow, that's great, cool. So for me, it was just at that. I didn't expect press media coverage. I didn't expect it to snowball. I still wanted to go to Harvard and do my MBA at that point.
Tough to digest as it is. It's becoming and growing as a female entrepreneur is challenging even today. And writing a business plan overnight for your entire thing and then raising a huge funding like that at the age of 24. What kept you going beyond that? What was your driving force?
First thing is, when you're 24, you don't have responsibilities, you're not pregnant like this. And I mean, even though I'm pregnant, I think I'm still following what I want to do. I think for me it was like, I remember I just looked at my job, and no matter how much it was paying me, I just realized that, do I want to wear a boring corporate clothes and come to work every day? No. Do I want to be my boss? No. Do I want to be my CEO of the company? Absolutely not. Do I want the life they have? I didn't. And did I want to be having this 9 to 5 corporate job for the rest of my life? No. So that I think was enough motivation that I don't want that. And the other thing was, like I said, fearlessness. You're young, and you know, and also I've never been really intimidated by people, so I've never really felt like there is anyone I can't talk to, because when I was working for a think tank, I was working with Amartya Sen. Like, if I was scared or nervous, I wouldn't be able to work with people like that. Or when I was 19 in UTV, I was interviewing Nasruddin Shah and people like that, and so it was not like someone was introducing me to them. I was just like, I'd go up and speak to them. So it was like, I don't think I had fear ever. So I think the fearlessness kind of was like, yeah, what's going to happen? What's the worst that can happen? If I'm trying to raise money, if I can't raise, big deal. I'll go back to my job, or I'll find another job. There can't be anything bad that can happen out of it.
So, having a team of non Indian chefs catering authentic Indian taste and fusion touch with the team, what all the things that have you witnessed working with a diverse team?
London is quite a diverse city, I would have to say. So for me, I've never looked at diversity as a special thing. It is how it is. I mean, I don't know any other way. A chef is a chef. Doesn't matter. He's Indian, she's Muslim, it's a transgender. It doesn't matter. If you can cook, you can cook. It's as simple as that. So it was never something special. It was something, yeah, it happens. And I think that's kind of where we should aim to be. We have to stop looking at diversity as we're doing something. It's a female entrepreneur. No, it's just an entrepreneur. I'm a human being. I'm as capable as another man, and another man is as capable as me. And we're all working towards the same goal. And I think that's kind of how I look at life. I try not to categorize it.
That's a very beautiful perspective, I must say.
Thank
You
you.
know, catering wonderful dishes and chasing your passion, I would say. So, what have you witnessed at Calcutta Street? Some of the wonderful memories or moments that you cherish even today.
I mean, many things really, right? Like, for a girl from the suburbs of India, of Calcutta, to be there and be in every big newspaper possible, like Bloomberg. And when I remember I saw the article about me in Financial Times, I couldn't even read the whole article because I was like, like literally, like, am I really in there? It all felt like a dream, a haze for a very long time. So yeah, and I was also the first female Indian chef, first youngest restaurateur in London, female restaurateur or something like that, which was not even about Indian. So those articles were coming out, like, magazines you grew up not even getting in India, like, Vogue, when I was growing up at least, or Grazia. Those are magazines we didn't even get in the shelves on this, supermarket. So being in those and having seen my face in those was pretty incredible. Uh, and also, like, it was really nice because a lot of younger people, even my people, my age, or older people, used to come and say, "How did you do this? Whatever. Can you help us?" And I'd like to know more and stuff like that. It really meant a lot. And also, customers from globally, all over the world. I remember having this German guy who wrote me this beautiful email. I still have it. He said he was flying from America to Germany back. He was a Bengali guy flying from America to Germany, but he took a stopover in London for 6 hours just to come visit Calcutta Street because he missed his mum's food. Or Amartya Sen saying that his mum died a few years back, and this, when he ate at Calcutta Street for the first time, he was like, this was, nobody's cooked Bengali. He's not had Bengali food since his mum died, and this was very, very special. So I think, all of those. There are so many I can't even, think of them,
Right.
that, like, I can keep going on.
Nice to hear that. So, India has a lot of cuisines and even more number of spices available naturally. So, what do you think? Like, how has modern India transformed the food culture for the East and the West?
The problem is modern India has actually, unfortunately, in the food scene, not reached the West. So because Indians have such a terrible mindset of, if you are from a good family and if you're educated, you just got to be a doctor or an engineer or have some kind of job. And there has been not much respect in terms of hospitality. I mean, we've had just one Sanjeev Kapoor and maybe a couple of chefs now, and I don't even. I mean, I've left India 10 years back, so I don't even know who the modern chefs are. Some people, but it's very few still, and it's so. And these people don't come to London and open restaurants. So unfortunately, the people who come to London or US or wherever, New York, and open restaurants are who came here back in the days during 50 years back, 30 years back, after partition. What I mean is, like, they were not the so-called middle class of India, if that makes sense. They were the people who just came here and they had to find a job to do, and they were like, okay, let's start a curry house. And it was also actually not that many Indians doing it. It was mostly Bangladeshis and Pakistanis who have the restaurants here. So unfortunately, when I opened Calcutta Street, I think I was the first Indian person, first Bengali restaurant in the West. There was just nothing, because Bengalis are, again, Bengali, South Indians, people like that are just not interested in the opening a restaurant. I mean, even my grandmother said, like, after doing such masters and stuff, you opened she said in Bengali, she said, she opened a rolet dokan, which is mean, a street side stall. Why would you go to London to do that? So mindset that needs to probably change before people take hospitality seriously in India.
True, and the perspectives still are changing, but they have not been changed as much as they need to.
I'm
Okay.
not opening any other restaurant unless I'm absolutely super filthy rich one day, and
Uh,
having a restaurant just because I want to have fun. I'll do it, but that'll be like a Japanese style slow cooked, something like that, where I'll
Interesting.
just have 5 tables and I'll serve them all personally. But this is a
Uh,
dream.
Looking back, early days or your childhood, did you ever think that you will end up becoming a leading one in this industry?
No, I mean, honestly, like, it's a thing, right? Like, when you're growing up, like I said, in suburbs of India, you don't even have role models as such, in the sense, the most amount of role model you'll have is someone who goes to Presidency College, which is a prestigious college in Calcutta. And that is someone people think, wow. So that was the level, or there was the extremes of Shah Rukh Khan. And I remember looking at Shah Rukh Khan and thinking, wow, I'd love to be like him one day. But of course, that was a stupid, childish dream. But what I'm trying to say is, like, you don't like, suburbs of India back then in 1990s, didn't have this kind of exposure. We just had cable TV, which started. So, this WhatsApp, Facebook, phones, mobile, none of this was there. So you don't even think that far. Back then, I thought, oh, I want to go to Mumbai. That was a great place to be. So I was like, I knew that much. I knew I don't want to study in Calcutta. After, as soon as I finished school, I want to go to Mumbai, but that seemed like a dream. So I think, yeah.
Let's talk something about learnings that you've gathered throughout this journey. You must have figured out a lot of things on the go that you didn't know
Yeah,
earlier. And like, what are they? Can you please share some of them?
for sure, for sure. I mean, one thing is, there is passion, and you do a passion project, and and when you do that, it's great, and that's kind of what I did. You think of like how to get the best product, make it the best thing, and blah blah blah, and all of that. But then you quickly forget about cash flow. You forget about your P&Ls. You forget about, when you're running a business, it's a lot of, it's not just the menus and the recipes and the running the staff and looking good and posing for magazines. It's a lot more than that, right? So you have to have the daily grind. You have to make sure the P&L works. You have to make sure, your builders, some if the gas stops working on a Friday night at 8 p.m., you have a restaurant full of customers. How do you go about that, right? You have to deal with, I'm 5'1", 5'2". I used to wear heels back then, and I'm pretty skinny, and not anymore, but I was. And I had to deal with, English builders who are, there is a lot of corruption in England as well, in terms of, in the building space, in the construction space. So, all these things, no one teaches you, no one tells you. You think from outside it's a glamorous world, and every day you have to think about meeting your payroll. You have to learn about payroll, how to pay staff, taxes. There are so many hidden taxes, all sorts of things. And as an entrepreneur, when you're a sole entrepreneur, you have to have all of this in your grip. You need to know all of this. If you don't, you're going to be absolutely falling flat on your face once you get in. So, and I'm not talking about where mommy and daddy fund the business and it's a daddy run business, and I'm just doing it for fun kind of thing. When you're doing it with serious capital from proper private equity guys, they're looking at your P&L. You have to present to the board every month. So it's a serious job. It's way more difficult than
Right.
you imagine. So I think, yeah, these are the things I had to completely teach myself. Like, I had zero interest in accounting, but now I know how to read a P&L, and I can look at a P&L and be like, where is the wastage happening? But all these things, I made so many mistakes. Yeah.
And that is wonderful. We can learn many things from our own mistakes, and yeah, that is one kind of lesson which is we need to wish all over our life. So tell me something about the life tree. How you found that? How did you get involved into that?
I moved on from my restaurants. I decided that I wanted to make this TV series, India Bites, which I've been thinking of making for a while. But before I wanted to make that, I wanted to learn about the back end of streaming and production. And that's kind of when I met the CEO of Lifetree, Ashley, and he offered me to come join him as the CMO and launch the channel for him, launch the platform for him, acquired the films, and with help with the marketing and all of that. So yeah, I thought, that's a good way for me to learn about the industry, learn before I step in, and do something that I want to do. But I just don't like to ever step in without knowing much, because that's another lesson I learned. When I started my restaurants, I should have worked in a restaurant probably, to know, do I really want this? Because when I was running my restaurants for 3-4 years, at one point I was like, wow, why didn't anyone tell me about this? So for me, this time it was like, no, I just want to know. And I don't want to get fooled either in the TV business, that I don't want to sound like an idiot when I go and pitch my show to a big TV channel. So I wanted to, and also build the contacts myself. So that's kind of what's my agenda with Lifetree. It was never something it wasn't a full-time job. It was something I took up as a project.
As you mentioned, like dealing with people while starting your career or your journey, and like even today, have you made sure that your efforts are impactful, or your efforts are going in the right direction? What efforts you made, or where to put them in?
I don't strategize so much. I just follow. I do. I'm quite single track minded. I go for my dreams and I go for it, and I look at that. And in the middle, if someone, I like helping people. I like if someone comes and says, hey, meet me for a coffee, and tell me about your journey. And I won't go and see if this person's a student or this person's a journalist. Like, I won't make that distinction. Like, I'm talking to you guys, and I've done interviews with BBC. So if I thought so much and if I strategized so much, life would be so boring. Come on, like no. I mean, if I have time, I'll do it. If I don't have time, I can't do it. And it's very straightforward and simple.
Very nice to hear that. We are also working for a particular vision, and we are glad that you made it time for us. And yes,
Honestly, you got me at a good time. I'm pregnant. I'm kind of slowing down on work. There are so many times I get young students here who come for their masters and stuff, and they want an internship and whatever. And I always like to give people that first chance. And if I can give an opportunity to someone, I always try and do. Unlike some people who just talk about it all the time, and actually, when push comes to shove, they will never give you a job. They'll never open a door for you. And so, because I've struggled so much to get here, and I've not got many doors opened for me. Sometimes I have, but not many times. And so, if I can change that, that makes me a true feminist or a true, whatever. Instead of talking the talk and just writing articles and blogs about it.
appreciate your thoughts, and that's why we thought we are pretty much active in our communities, technical communities. We thought let's do something apart from this which can actually make a difference in common people lives. So that's why we came into the thoughts of Ninja Talks,
That's awesome.
bringing people in a podcast, because we are also new. We did 10 episodes with the different sets of people, and everyone were kind of helping, and we reached out to people who can help people and people can listen.
So I hope people get something out of it.
So yeah, thank you so much. Thank
Will do.
you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.